It's early 2014, and your mom has driven you to the mall on a busy day of running errands. You go by the Apple store as she goes to see about getting her phone fixed or something. You don't care. You're a brain-dead iPad kid. Speaking of iPads, while you wait for her to finish talking to the Apple employee, you see the new iPad Air 2 on display at the front of the store. Without warning, you rush to the front of the store and look for games to play. As your mother takes longer and longer, you go through app after Cut the Rope, after Angry Birds, after Jetpack Joyride, and then, finally, a game you've never put your grubby little slimy worms on before. A little game called Infinity Blade 3. Out of pure curiosity, you click on the icon. But then, sadly, the words you dreaded most at that moment came out of your mother's mouth. It's time to go. You memorize the name of the game and repeat it in your tiny little brain the whole way home, where it is then revealed that the mobile game is a whopping $7? How was you supposed to get that kind of cash in this economy? Luckily, your benevolent mother rewards you, after being such a oh-so-very good boy that day, with the purchase required to get your grubby little mitts back on Infinity Blade 3. You probably had no idea that this was the case, but this was my experience back in late 2013, early 2014. I don't exactly remember, I've had a lot of head injuries. But what I can recall is fond memories of playing Infinity Blade 3 on my little iPad that had a rubber case on it because I couldn't stop dropping it. And I recently wanted to relive those memories, but to my extreme dismay, all I could find was forum after forum talking about how the game ceased to exist. Now, I am absolutely not a specialist, but I have read several cases, not only in which they took the game off the store, not only in which they took the game from people who owned it, but they made it so that people who had it installed on their own devices couldn't even play it. Back in 2020, apparently they announced that they would actually no longer be supporting the game, but they did say explicitly that you could continue to play it. But ever since then, they've been removing the game in incrementally more major ways. I'm starting to get Lost Media vibes, so I'm here with my hearty 12 viewers watching this video to get to the bottom of the Infinity Blade series, the game itself, its silent death, and maybe what we can even do to circumvent this. Now, we'll get into the investigation portion shortly, but for now, I just want to talk about the game so that people can know exactly what they're missing out on. I won't be going over the story, even though it is fairly interesting. It's not exactly what made the series special, so if you want to know more about the lore, please click on this video right here by... So, Infinity Blade 1 released back in 2010 from Chair Entertainment and Epic Games. This will be important later. It was uploaded to the iPhone, iPad, and iPod. This was succeeded by 2 more games in the series, and the one that I'm most familiar with is Infinity Blade 3, which is the one that I recall the most. But the core gameplay is still the same throughout the entire series. So, the gameplay. I've not really seen anything done like this before, but it's perfect for a mobile game like this. Essentially, each mission is a pre-programmed route that you're going through, and there's a bunch of random encounters throughout the way. Each encounter is a sword duel, as you can see playing behind me, in which you utilize different capabilities and tactics to deal damage to the enemy and prevent damage to yourself. Depending on the type of weapon you pick, you can either block, dodge, or parry. You can block and dodge with icons at the bottom of the UI, as well as use special abilities and spells from icons at the top. Outside the combat, in the in-between segments, you can look for treasure and chests, which you can use to buy weapons, armor, magic rings, and gems. among other helpful miscellaneous items. Now the main thing that I believe sets this game aside visually is the complex style and setting it's chosen. It's a beautiful medieval sort of Game of Thrones fantasy style architecture in conjunction with a very complex technology sort of cyberpunk adjacent overlay it has over everything, making for a very interesting combination of visual styles. So, now that you know what you're missing out on, let's get searching. Now, the first thing I did was some base level research, which I found some very interesting results. In fact, if you actually look up why is Infinity Blade gone, the results aren't related to the actual game, but it has to do with the item in Fortnite, which will also come up later. Once I changed my verbiage, I found some articles and first-hand accounts of people not being able to re-download the game. I couldn't find much information I hadn't already come across, so next step was to contact Epic Games support. I didn't think it would get me very far, but it ended up being very interesting. There's some things to unpack here. I've complained about a fair share of things in my day. I've contacted a lot of customer support, mostly to have Battlefield 2042 refunded. And typically I'll get one of two responses. Either an automated robot response telling me, no, we can't refund Battlefield 2042, you paid for it and you played it for more than, or a direct human response if it's a very special question. But this is actually the first time I've had a response quite like this. Hi there, my name's Creed, nice to meet you. Thanks for getting in touch with us, and we're investigating your issue further and will contact you when our research is completed, or if we need more information. Thank you for your patience, regards Creed. I'm not gonna put his full name in the video. This is interesting because I've never had someone respond to me saying that they needed to do research. Keep in mind, this is the company that made this game. Well, one of the two companies. It's almost like they have their efforts focused somewhere else. Only a few minutes later did they respond to me and... roadblock. Hi there, Kaiser here. Kaiser? I hope you're well. I see that you contacted us regarding your inquiry about the Infinity Blade trilogy of games being removed from the App Store. This was done as the development ended years ago and the support has been halted. You can learn more about it here, a link to an article that I had read before. As I understand that you wanted to play the third game again, but it is not possible to find on the App Store, even after costing money, you might be able to still download the game as it is pointed out here. Essentially, the article led to a method to re-download the game, but you actually needed to have it already installed on a different device, which if I did, we wouldn't be here. Note that the Apple link is no longer available, but you might try this one, which just took me to a tutorial on Apple that didn't help me either. I wish we could provide you with further information or details, but I'm afraid this is all we can share. If we can help you with anything else, let us know. Regards. It gave me a link to an article I'd already visited and some outdated information on how to reinstall the game. Now, I definitely don't blame these guys for this. I'm sure they can only give you so much information on the game and they were perfectly nice. But sadly, this was clearly not a lead worth following. Next, I went back to basics and started looking through my phone and damn son. Right there, I found the receipt for the game. Proof I'd bought the friggin' thing. But strangely, when I go to my previously downloaded, it's gone. You can see here that I bought the game on May 3rd, but it doesn't show up when I go to this list. It's not even grayed out like most old apps, it's just completely gone. Luckily, it left a big footprint and I intend on following it. But first, let's discuss the elephant in the room. Sin City. Don't click off yet, please just hear me out. So, the Infinity Blade series was created by two development companies, Chair Entertainment and our likely culprit, Epic Games.
You solved Five Nights at Freddy's.
Now, Infinity Blade is one of the highest grossing mobile games of all time, making $1.6 million of the first game's first year of release. The first game went on to make $23 million in the first year of its release, and then the entire series in total made about $60 million. For a mobile game in the early aughts, I would say that's pretty great. After that, the series probably brought in some extra cash through microtransactions over the next few years. But then, as you probably know, Fortnite.
God, bro, just fucking play me!
When I tell you that the money Infinity Blade brought in was absolute pennies compared to Fortnite's revenue stream, okay, but seriously, how much money do you actually think Fortnite has made? Answer the question in the comments below before I reveal. I know you will, I know you never lie. Mwah. Maybe 500 million? 1 billion? 3 billion? Fortnite has made, get this, $5.8 billion last year. Fortnite has almost made 20 billion with a B dollars. So Epic Games went on to greener pastures as far as I can tell, Chair Entertainment has stood stagnant for the past 4 years. When they initially spoke out on them dropping support for the game, this is what they said. It has become increasingly difficult for our team to support the Infinity Blade series at a level that meets our standards. Look, I strive to be logical and positive on this channel as much as I can possibly be, but this completely reeks of corporate BS. Now, I don't think it's entirely wrong, but I could pretty much guarantee the reason that they took it down was because it simply wasn't bringing in enough money to warrant the maintenance and updates and manpower it would be taking away from potential people who could be working on the titan that is Fortnite. And look, I can't really blame them. They're a company and they have to focus on their bottom line. And look, maybe I'm just a little piss baby for complaining about this, but it really does feel unfair that people who paid for this game are just having it forcibly removed from their devices and accounts. Who just messaged me on Discord? And as this happened, no one was paying attention to it. It just slowly died alone and in the dark. But there's hope.
How interesting. Just look at that.
While I was doing research for this video, I tried to look everywhere to find details or hints as to maybe why the game was taken away, or even how to get my big meaty grippers on it once again. Then, my female sibling had the first good idea in her entire life.
Go on Reddit.
Yeah. And that's what I did.
Don't go on Reddit for anything else. Ever.
Of course, I'd been looking all over, but why not the front page of the internet? And there it was, a small community with a few thousand subscribers dedicated to the Infinity Blade series. To my surprise, the top posts were exactly what I was looking for. Methods to get the game back on your phone, and so I jumped to it. And I really wish I had thought to record my reaction to getting the game back on my phone. It really was a breath of fresh air after all the research and time I'd put into simply this small aspect of the video. I honestly was just doing it to see if truly the game was lost media or if there were ways to get it back. But I remember the night I got it back, I just kind of spent hours playing it again once it was back in my hands. Not working on this video or working on my actual job like I was supposed to be. I was just in bed playing this childhood game for hours. So I guess I'd won, right? I'd gotten the game I wanted, there was a way to download it. I guess the investigation is over. But no, I'm not satisfied. Look, I know it sounds nice, but it should not require this much effort to download a game that you've paid for. Look, this method is effective. There's very few glitches or issues with the game, but it can be a little complicated and it's not user-friendly at all. And apparently you can only have it for a week at a time. If you install it again, you lose all your progress. On top of all that, I still want justice. I know plenty of older games that are still on the App Store without any support, and I'd assume that the fans would just prefer that they leave it up without support as opposed to having no game at all. Sadly, Epic Games is always going to focus on what makes them money, and the juggernaut that is Fortnite will forever take a front seat, as this little flash-in-the-pan gaming series slowly fades into obscurity. I hope it doesn't stay this way, but for now I'm honestly satisfied with my findings, and I hope my presentation of this information has been satisfying to the 2 viewers who are still with me. Where did the footage go? I'm now going to be leaving the rest of this investigation to you. Please, play this game and enjoy it while it's still available for download in this weird third-party version, and maybe even spread the word that this game really does deserve to be back on the App Store.
You must have nothing better to do. You're watching Who Knows What, you idiot.
Thank you so much if you made it this far. If you have, I really appreciate it. As you can probably tell, this is one of my higher production value videos, so if you really did watch all the way through, it means a lot. Please, if you can, subscribe or watch videos from these channels. That is BananaGalazy, IntrepidandBold, and theUnchangingJimmy. They are friends of mine, and I love them all so much, specifically this one. If you like the content, please consider liking and subscribing, and comment below if you have any suggestions for more content. Consider watching me stream in the future, because I stream on this channel now sometimes. I might not right now because it's Christmas time and January time, depending on when this video gets uploaded. Oh, this may have been a mistake. All right, bye. Can I have you for a segment? I just need you to say one thing.
Balls.